What do we know at this point? Exactly what is getting the green light? And what are still some lingering questions that we don't know?
You recall Didi was one of the national champions in China, one of the most promising startups that the country really has ever produced. It was successful in driving Uber out of the country, and then it was heading for this IPO in 2021 with very high expectations for what was going to happen with the company, but it pushed ahead with that IPO despite objections from authorities. So shortly after it went public in 2021, its apps were pulled out of the App Store. It was also brought under scrutiny for national security and whether it was sharing too much data. That was an 18-month hiatus for its apps where it couldn't sign up new users. So the news that we're getting now that the company has gotten the green light to be able to start signing up new users again is a big step forward for this company that has gone through so many troubles over the past few years. It did go public in New York, but then had to very quickly delist from New York, which is very unusual. We know that it wants to relist its shares in Hong Kong a little bit closer to home. This is sort of the beginning of that process to be able to move towards an alternative listing and finally rewarding some of those shareholders who have had such a traumatic 18 months.
And I guess it's just more growing signs that perhaps regulators are done with this crackdown, Peter. I mean, how are you viewing this, and in light of other developments we've seen as well?
It's a little bit early to call the crackdown over. It's a little bit early to call the crackdown over at this point. This started, of course, with the pulling of the IPO of Ant Group way back when. There have been a few positive signs recently, though, and that's led to a rally in a number of the shares. We have this Didi move. Also, there was a round of games that were approved, which helps Tencent business in particular, that had been suspended for a number of months. And there have been some pretty positive comments from the central authorities that they need more support for the tech companies and for the private sector more broadly. This is as the country tries to get out of the COVID troubles that it's had in the past. So they really need the private sector to kind of step up and contribute here.
This whole story with Alibaba, with Ryan Cohen, entry into this company. I'm just wondering, how significant is this news, given the fact that just a few days ago we were talking about golden shares on some of these tech names too?
Right. It's a very interesting twist. Cohen, of course, made his name first with Chewy.com, this pet supply retailer, and then he helped lead GameStop and make it a favorite meme stock among individual investors. So he has had some successes, especially with individual investors in these meme stocks. He's stepping into a very, very different situation here, though. Alibaba, of course, has been under the thumb of Beijing authorities for quite a while. It has been the target of this crackdown. So he's stepping in, and his basic argument is that the company is undervalued. It should face a pretty strong growth of 20% or more in its revenue, and it should use some of that extra cash to buy back its shares, which he sees as undervalued at this point. That may all be true, but the situation in China is so different because of the Beijing crackdown and what it's done to the private sector. Companies like Alibaba and Tencent in particular have had to shift their priorities away from some of their traditional businesses into things that the government has made a priority, and that may undercut Alibaba's ability to build its revenue and also build its cash flow to fund the kind of buybacks that Cohen is talking about. So he's stepping into the kind of environment that he has not really operated in before. It's unclear whether it's going to be successful.